So one of the really cool things about Stable Diffusion is the ability to create fantastic looking images using the models that we download online. But one of the things you realize isn't an area of friction that eventually builds up. You end up realizing that you need a lot more storage space than you initially realized. So what I want to do in this video is to talk about how we can manage storage space. And in particular, I want to introduce you to a piece of software that I use for managing the files on my system. This is MiniTool Partition Wizard. This is version 12.8. It is a demo version. You can download this and start using it if you want to. I will have a link in the description for you to download and use this. Now, the features here are on the left hand side. You've got an area here which is literally just showing you everything on your computer. So it is different from Windows Explorer, where you can see a little bit of the data, kind of like at each moment. Here you can see everything on the computer. So even this 60 gigabyte thumb drive, this USB thumb drive, it is showing up as a disk. I think there's an external, there's a 16 gigabyte drive. This is one which is a USB drive. So with this one, it's a split screen where if you click here, it will show you here all the partitions on your system on that particular drive. So a disk drive can be split up into different partitions so that you can actually organize the data, and it's much easier to find stuff when it's partitioned in this way. And it's also possible, for instance, I've got unallocated. I've got some spaces here that I just left empty. So if I want to add a little bit more organization down the line, I can actually use that empty space. So it's a powerful way of organizing. And what this software is giving us is a way of, it's almost like, visualize it like a table in a library where you can bring in different books and you can organize them so that it's easier to find things. Things that are related to each other can be all grouped together. And you're like the handsome librarian who's in charge of everything. And this is your desk. This is your work area where you can bring all the books and reorganize things. What I want to do is to demonstrate an actual issue that I'm dealing with. So if we click here, this is the external drive. We click on disk 5, we see this is the USB drive. There's some empty space here, and I want to move some of my Stable Diffusion into the empty spaces here. Now this is kind of not exactly what I want to do. What I want to do in reality is a little bit different. What I'm aiming to do, so I have actually got a 1 terabyte NVMe drive. It's nearly Black Friday, so I want to purchase a 2 terabyte one. I'm just waiting to see if the price drops before Black Friday, because I think the amount of data I'm working with is so large that 1 terabyte, the 1 terabyte that I have got is not going to be sufficient. So we'll demonstrate the software, not using the 2 terabyte drive, or the 1 terabyte drive that I have got right now, but using the unallocated spaces here. I want to move some Stable Diffusion installations. I install Stable Diffusion here on a very fast drive, and that's actually a 980. That's a Samsung. That's a very fast one. And we've got another fast drive that that's another Samsung 980. So 2 very fast NVMe drives. I want to move the Stable Diffusion installations onto another drive once I've got that one from Amazon. So what I'll be doing is moving entire partitions, and there's actually a third one that I need to move, but we won't go into that one. We'll click on the partition here. If I right click, it gives me a bunch of options, including move or resize, which I very rarely use, copy, which I use quite a lot. And what I can do when I click on a partition, if I just want to make sure that the partition is the one that I actually want to move or copy, I can come to this section, check partition, explore partition, and it allows me to see the files. This is a little bit more like Explorer, where we can actually see the files and determine whether we are working on the right partition. So I can see Stable Diffusion Python. This is the right partition for Stable Diffusion. And equally, if we come to this guy here, which I think is the other one, we can come here, choose Explore Partition, and we can see, yeah, we've got IP adapters, we've got checkpoints. This is the other partition for Stable Diffusion. There's actually another one that I've got. So we've got 300 gigabytes there. There's another partition with Stable Diffusion stuff on it. It's easily going to fill up a 1 terabyte NVMe drive. So I do need to get the 2 terabyte one. So you can really see the utility of this. It gives you all the information that you need. And it actually gives me another piece of information which is really useful. You can see that it's 97% full, 95% full, dangerously full. There's hardly any space there. You should never have more than about 80% full. So when it comes to move these, I'm going to right click. I'm just going to choose, instead of moving them, I'm going to choose copy, and I'm going to then select the drive that I want to move them to. Let's pretend I want to move them here. As long as the space is unallocated, which it will be before you actually create any partitions, you can just choose that one, choose next, and then you can resize the partition if you want to. Then hit finish, and it helps you to avoid making errors, because this is a really big operation which is moving a huge amount of data. It takes the operation into the operation pending area, and it doesn't do anything until you hit apply. You have to hit apply to confirm. So you just want to make sure that the instruction is correct, and then you hit apply to actually start. And once you start, it will start actually writing onto whatever unallocated area that you have started working on. And as you can see, it's reduced the unallocated area here, and it's created this installation. However, this one, it doesn't actually exist until I hit apply. I could come here, right click, choose copy this one, and as long as I've got enough space somewhere, let's move that one down here as well. I don't think I've got enough space there, but I've got just enough space there. We could choose an unallocated area next. Resize this if I wanted to, click finish. If I wanted to, I can undo. And if I wasn't sure that it was the correct move, I can just undo, or I can hit apply and it will start the process. Now, some of these processes will take hours. Some of them will take a very long time. So you've got to plan things very carefully. I won't do anything in this particular case because obviously I'm waiting for the new NVMe drive, and I've got a whole bunch of software running in the background, which is not very good for this type of operation. But hopefully that's giving you an idea of the kind of power and utility. You can see everything, you can plan, you can execute, and hopefully you'll give this a try. There'll be a link in the description, and I think if you do try it out, you'll find it very useful.